Hey, there it is.
Just back down.
All right. Well, I think we'll start with the top.
Yeah.
My GOAT, Blabber, #1.
Ooh.
So
Maybe best all time from
quickly
Nick.
here,
I'm with you, buddy.
is this split, this performance, or is these are the junglers I think are the best overall?
I would say
define.
like right now. Just if we snapshot LCS, how everyone's been doing right now. And this also, it doesn't only reflect the jungler themselves, but their team. Sometimes good players can be in teams that make them not look as good.
So is this if they started the split bad, but were good like today, they're going to be higher because it's how they're going to perform today?
Well, they haven't played today.
Well, just like it's your expectation of how they're going to do today.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay. I just want to check. Defining tier list is important.
Okay. So for S tier, obviously I put Blabber at #1.
Makes sense.
And then I also am going to add Spica and Inspired to S with Blabber. I think they're both extremely good players. Maybe not quite as good as Blabber, but obviously still really good. They just make proactive plays. They're always in the right place at the right time. And so they've all been doing really well. Next up,
Ooh, let's see what we got.
I'm going to put River in A tier. I think River's been doing extremely well. Especially because, with Golden Guardians, it's not really a roster people looked at and thought they'd be on a 7-game win streak. I think a lot of that comes off of his performances. He's one of the junglers who's making Wukong work. I think he's like sub 30% win rate in the league, but River's been getting a lot of those wins. So definitely think he's been playing really well.
Okay.
And now we're going down. I'm going to put Contracts next up here in B tier because Contracts has had some really good games, but he's also had like some off games where he's a bit invisible. And I think that's partially just because of CLG in general. They've been pretty hit or miss. Like their wins, they look really good. Their losses, they look really sus. So
What do you think he does really well?
I think he's just, proactive playmaker when he's feeling confident.
Yeah.
But then, maybe if he falls behind, then he might not always know what to do. So next up, I'll put Closer here in B with Contracts. I think Closer has had a fairly rough split. I think 100 Thieves in general hasn't looked that good. They're kind of playing the scaling game, and I think that's been kind of hard on Closer because before when 100 Thieves was doing real well, he was like, very much a carry jungler, and you can't really do that when all your lanes are scaling. So not as high in the tier list as he once was, but I still think he's a good player.
That's a controversial one just because of you're obviously need to give him a lot of credit because we all think Closer's a good player. He just hasn't been performing well, so it's tricky to rank him.
I mean, as a jungler myself, I've played on good teams, not so good teams, and I think the team environment can really affect how a jungler looks and plays. So now we're moving down a little bit, and I'm gonna put Piosik here. Even though he's a world champion and he's had good games, I think he has underperformed, or based on what the expectations were. Because this dude just won Worlds, and maybe it's a little unfair because everyone's banning out his one trick, which they didn't do at Worlds. He's very much a Kindred player.
Yeah.
So I think that's working against him a little bit, but yeah, we'll put him there. And then we'll put Santorin here as well. Santorin's a jungler who I think is really good. I've competed against him. He's been playing for a long time. I think he's a very solid player. Unfortunately, Dig's just really struggling this split. They've won 1 game, so hard to get much higher in the tier list in that situation. And then I will put Boogie next to him. I think Boogie has had some good games, but he's also yesterday his Vi game really hurt to watch. Nothing hurts me more than watching a team that has a front to back comp where you want to peel for your carries and your front line's just diving their back line. It actually makes no sense. It just opens up your back line to getting killed. And so I didn't like to see that. And then Kenvi, I'm sorry, but your team's struggling, hasn't had too many great games. So we'll just slot him down there.
Something that I noticed from a lot of the junglers that are lower on the list is that when you are losing consecutive games, you are taking more risks because you feel like you need to get a large advantage early. And it feels like, especially with Santorin, somebody that I think is really good, it's a good example of somebody who's performing well, but it feels like he needs to do more. And so it's been blowing up.
Oh, absolutely. And, like I said before this, I think a lot of junglers' performances has to do with their team as well, right? It's how well does your team play around the jungle and whatnot. So someone like Spica, he's got really solid teammates. He's just kind of on the Maokai, on the Amumu duty.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to hard carry, but he's still doing a really good job.
Sounds good. Right.